Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first episode of the Life with Reptiles podcast. I'm your host, Justin Magri, alongside my co-host, Kaity Wingert.
Hello.
We're so excited to get to dive into one of our passions, reptiles, with you. Both Kaity and I own reptiles, so for our first episode, we're going to let you guys know about the reptiles we own, as well as what we believe makes the reptiles the best and easiest pets to own. So without further ado, what reptiles do you own, Kaity?
So I only own one reptile, and I have a hognose snake.
Nice. Beautiful, too. What enclosure do you keep it in? How big?
So, if I could count, I think the enclosure is 20 gallons.
Is it more long or
It's
more high?
long.
Okay, it's 20
Wait,
long.
I don't know.
Is it the
maybe
Aqueon?
It's something around there.
Yeah, probably an Aqueon.
It is average size.
Average size.
It's like 1.5 feet by
Nice.
half a foot maybe.
Okay, sweet.
But anyways, yeah, it's literally just like an aquarium that we had in our basement. Didn't even have to buy it.
For his size, that seems perfect. Because you said he's, 12 inches-ish?
He's probably like 16. He's
Okay.
like 1.5 feet, but like at their full size, hognoses only get to around 1.5 feet with males.
Okay.
So you don't need anything bigger than 20 gallons.
No, I know
which
the
is super
Westerns
easy.
get a foot. Do the others get it longer than
So
that?
there's also Eastern hognoses, which are
Okay.
not very friendly, and most people don't have them.
Okay.
But they're, I think, a little bit bigger. And then there's also another kind of hognose, but I forget. It's not from America. It's from a different country.
Yeah, I'm blanking. Indonesian?
Yeah, I think it's
Maybe the
maybe.
Indonesian hognose.
But
I'm not too sure
they
on
get
hognoses.
really, really big. They're
Okay.
like big snake territory.
Big snake territory. There you go. Yeah, well, for my collection, I have with me my high yellow leopard gecko, Sokka, who's a male and about, I want to say, at least almost 2 years old. Got him when he was a hatchling. I also have another leopard gecko, female. Her name is Zuko. I thought it was a boy. That's why its name is Zuko. At home, I used to have 9 turtles, but I've since reduced them. And so now we're at, I think, 4. Yeah, I have a big...
To the others?
Oh, Grant, thank you for saying that, because it just sounds like I killed them if I don't. I surrendered them to my friends who like reptile owners.
Gotcha.
But then I have a African fat-tailed gecko by the name of Kappy.
Is he not a fat tail?
So leopard geckos do have fat tails. You would think that they would make the name. Actually, it's a good point, because leopard geckos are named leopard because they originally had leopard prints, but then also have a fat tail. But then African fat tails, I guess they kind of just forgot about other traits, so gave it the fat tail name. But yeah, he's a male. He's about 1.5 years. Then I have a albino corn snake by the name of Doug. Got him as like a sub-juvenile. He's about maybe 15 inches. He's skinny though. Then I have a Kenyan sand boa, who I also got at an expo. His name is Tyler. Tyler is about not even a year, I would say, probably 8 months. Sokka, like Luca, he's kept in a 20 long. He has both a warm hide and a cool hide. The ambient temperature of the whole enclosure is probably around, I don't know, I would say like 70 to 80 degrees. His hot spot, his hot spot is like 80 to 90, maybe 95.
Yeah, same.
Keep some pieces of driftwood, some standing water, because at nighttime he would just chug it. It's kind of funny. I'll walk up and be like, "What are you doing, buddy?" Just chugging the water. I'm like, "Oh, great. I have to refill it already."
What substrate do you use? Also,
use-
for non-reptile people, substrates like
Yes.
the bedding they sleep in.
For Sokka specifically, I use aspen. Because, like, granted, I know it's typically a snake bedding, but he seems to like it. It doesn't. His belly's fine, because originally I just had him on a black mat, which I didn't realize made it way too hot. And I'm like, oh, why is your white stomach pink? I replaced that with aspen, so I think he likes it. I think occasionally when, like, he'll drink, he'll eat a piece of aspen.
Aspen's pretty safe, I think, for them to eat. Actually.
Exactly. And he's the age now where he would just poop it right out.
Yeah.
And now I believe you told me that you replaced your aspen with cocoa mix, right?
Yeah, it's like a Eco-Earth cocoa mix. I literally just did this last week. Western Hognoses, like, are around California-ish area.
I didn't know they were native.
Vibe, like West Coast.
Okay.
Kind of desert-y-ish.
Mm-hmm.
But they're used to like soil and stuff like that. So anything they can dig in that kind of maintains tunnels a little bit, they really like that.
Yeah, definitely. And you said that he looks like it. That he wasn't like climbing around all happy.
He was so excited. So excited. He was running in circles.
That's adorable.
And now he gets these little like mounds of dirt on his nose when he's like coming out of it.
Yeah. It's funny because with my Kenyan, most people who keep Kenyans or just any sand boas typically use, like, you know, the chips that the waxworms come in? Well, there's a chip. Typically, people just use chips. It's kind of self-explanatory. Yeah. It's kind of like aspen, but it's smaller and more dense. typically people keep sand boas on chips type stuff, but I guess it's kind of like a reptile sand, and it works well, but overall, sometimes when he goes to drink water, he'll go dig, and he'll come back up like, Dad, I have so much sand on my mouth.
Yeah, he gets like dusty when he goes in his sand, but I think he likes it.
So it's probably not good for him, but he's the age now where I think he can handle it. But overall, I think it was an upgrade.
Yeah.
But then for my other leopard gecko, Zuko, I forget the chips where it's like brown. I'm blanking on the name. But
like, like human chips?
Yes. Like
brown.
humid chips.
What?
I
just feed this child and he eats frozen mice.
Okay.
Oh, so I know nothing
did
beyond
I say feed? No, I meant the substrate. I keep like chips.
Oh.
Like the reptile, not Reptibark.
Like
it
bark
is
kind of thing.
Reptibark. That's the name of it.
Okay.
That
makes
is
more
what I meant
sense.
to say. I keep him on Reptibark more as like a theory since I'm testing aspect with him, and it seems to work. I think it works. I've had it. He definitely can't eat it. It's way too thick.
I don't think it matters as much for him too, since he doesn't dig. He's just chilling.
Yeah.
For Luca, he has to he likes to make tunnels. That's like his whole.
Yeah, his whole gimmick. He makes them.
So,
what are you doing today? I'm making tunnels.
That's why he's
Thank you very much.
Has this shovel nose. It's literally a shovel.
Exactly.
It digs.
For digging. Yeah. So yeah, I tried the Reptibark, and I think he likes it. I'm gonna wait till he gets to a 20 long too, when he gets that size. And if it continues to work out, then I'll stick with it. But what were you saying that you fed your hognose?
I feed right now at the size he's at. He's like an adult now, I guess.
Yeah, definitely an adult.
He eats 3 frozen pinkies.
Okay.
I just dethaw them and then he just eats them right out of my hand. Yeah, once a week.
Okay. Yeah, Sokka's diet kind of varies.
Typically, is he a good eater?
Yes, but here's the thing. I recently had to get him back on from eating from the actual bowl because I spoiled him for months and just tongue fed him. And so there was a time where I would put in a bowl and he's like, "What are you doing? You gonna hand feed it to me?" So he didn't. But granted, the whole fat tail thing, he can go a while without eating. But now I have him back on feed, so I try to do at least 3 times a week.
Wow.
Considering the week's uneven, it's hard to schedule. But
yeah.
So Friday, Monday. But yeah, it varies moment to moment.
Hognoses are notorious for being very picky eaters. When I first had Luca, he ate for a little bit when I first got him, and then he didn't eat for a couple months over the summer. That's just how they are. Yeah. And I was terrified, but he was fine. And now he eats on the dot every week, and he's ferocious.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
He wants so much
tradition.
Food.
You just keep doing it and doing it.
But he likes to be hand fed because he loves attention.
Exactly.
He has a problem.
Yeah, for my corn snake, Doug, I feed him 2 to 3 pinkies a week. Currently, I've never done live, only because I'm scared.
I refuse to do live as well.
Yeah, mostly because if they like live and they really like live, you hand them a frozen, they'd be like, no thanks. I'm trying to chase them.
I just can't handle it. One time I accidentally got live. I don't even know how that happened. They put it in a box, so I assumed they were frozen. I opened it and they were moving, and I was like, no. And I was I was crying and calling everyone I knew with snakes. Because as long as I don't see them being fed, I'm fine with it.
Okay, yeah. I used to feed, who'd I feed? At the Oaks Museum that I work at, we have a big ball python, and he will only eat live mice. Mm-hmm. So most of the people there are like, no thanks. But
they're picky eaters too, ball pythons.
Exactly.
Really picky. They're, I think, as picky as hognose is.
Yeah. Guess how old the ball python is, by the way, in the Oaks Museum?
How old?
He's 28.
Oh my god.
Hey, he's an old snake.
Yeah, speaking of ages, snakes live a long time.
Yep. It's a full-time commitment.
I think Luca's lifespan is around 20 years plus. Yep. Wow. Hognoses live to be pretty old.
Wow, that's crazy. I know leopard geckos, here's the thing. You look up in a manual, be like, in proper care, they can live 5 to 10 to 15 years old. And I've recently learned that could be true. But at the same time, I met someone whose leopard gecko, I believe, was 26. Mm-hmm. So
it just all depends. They're kind of like humans.
Exactly.
They have a range.
You have to prepare for the long run, and then, be sad if they don't, but you still have to be prepared nonetheless.
A forever friend.
Exactly. What would you say about the cleanliness? I can't say that word.
Cleanliness.
Thank you, that word. About your snake. Is he a messy guy?
So, I think I have 2 dogs, a cat, and some birds at my house.
Yeah.
And he is by far the cleanest animal I have ever had in my life. I clean his habitat like completely empty all of his bedding out once every like 2 months.
Wow.
And then I spot clean it, kind of as if it was cat litter, but and I just pick it out because it clumps pretty much, and then it doesn't get anywhere else. He doesn't like sweat or anything. Exactly. Like nothing gets anywhere.
Nothing
so
else is
there's nothing to clean pretty much.
Yeah. That's pretty good.
And all of his stuff, unless he poops on it, which he does sometimes, it's good. He does like to poop in his water bowl. It's very weird. That's the only thing I do have to clean.
The most perfect poop spot is when they poop in their water bowl.
He does it every time. Ooh. He thinks it's a toilet.
It's annoying, but at the same time, it keeps you from cleaning the rest of the substrate.
That's the only thing I have to clean with him consistently is his water bowl.
Yeah, that makes sense. With Sokka, here's the thing. I don't know if this is specifically a personality thing or leopard geckos. He has his poop spot in his enclosure. It's in the far right spot whenever he has to poop. Yeah.
That would be nice.
It's wonderful because I just take a clump, take some aspirin out.
I never know where his is. Especially now with the brown bedding, I can't tell.
Oh, that's true. It probably gets confusing. Yeah, so he's good with that. Doug is like Luca. He'll poop anywhere. I'm like, oh, the aspirin's brown, so that's nice.
Yeah, there it is.
So that's one of the pluses.
Or you hear it, or smell it.
I've smelled it. I've never heard it.
I've started to hear it. Sometimes I'll be sitting in my room and I hear, and I'm like, oh no.
That's crazy. I've never heard that before. Because Sokka, unfortunately, not to get too specific, but he's a quiet pooper. Where he'll be on my shoulder and like I'll be watching a movie or something. I'm like, oh, what's that smell? Great.
No, you'll know.
Thanks,
also, like his is probably more solid. Snake poop is like bird poop. Going off of like cleanliness, kind of. Does he shed?
Yes, he sheds. I want to say about at least once a month. And here's the thing: Sokka's great. He's by far my best shedder. Where he starts shedding, I know not to touch him for a full week. As in, I could touch him. Like his temperament's fine. He wouldn't get cranky. But he is such a pro. Like I will flatter my young boy here. Absolute champ. He sheds perfectly. There's not a spot on him that's not perfectly shed off. For
non-reptile people, listeners, shedding is like a really good sign of health. So like you want your shed to come off mostly in one piece and you want it to happen relatively quickly. For Luca, he turns gray. Like his eyes go completely cloudy and his belly, which is black right now, turns gray. So I know a couple days later he's going to shed. I'll look in 1 minute and the next minute it's all off. His eye holes are in there and everything. Yeah. So you always have to make sure like all parts of them come off. But yeah, it's a really good sign that they're healthy if they're shedding in one piece, which Luca always does.
And sometimes if it is a bad shed, you do have to assist them a little bit. Yeah. Without annoying them too much. But
they have like little aids that you can put on them that makes it come off a little bit, like sheddies or something. Yeah. I've never had to use it because Luca's really good about it. But I usually up his humidity in his enclosure a little bit if I know he's going to shed.
Yeah, sometimes I'll spray some hot water around the whole enclosure compared to just the hide.
I'll like mist it.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, 2 things related to that I forgot to mention. That this is not snake things. For leopard geckos, the biggest thing with shedding is their nails and just toes. They are notorious for dropping toes like flies.
Toes? They just come off?
Whole toe. If they have consistent bad shedding, their toes will literally just fall off. Because the shed will get stuck. And then so many sheds will build up that it just breaks circulation.
This is a really weird question.
Yes.
I don't know if this is like a universal lizard thing.
No,
if their tails fall off / get chopped off somehow, do they grow back?
So, glad that you brought that up. Leopard geckos, I don't want to say like most geckos, but there's a solid chunk of geckos that do this. They actually have a controllable muscle right between the base of their body and the top of their tail, where if they ever do drop it, you see what I'm talking about. They have 100% control of when they drop their tail, and that's when and if they do. The main thing is if they feel threatened, or like if someone grabs their tail, they're like, oh, I need to get away. So they'll drop their tail, and their whole tail with like muscles in it will wiggle for like at least 5 minutes. It's nasty, but like it's kind of cool from like a science perspective. But with leopard geckos, once they drop their tail, they do grow back. Here's the thing though. Right now, Sokka's tail, once again, not to flatter him too much, that's a pretty tail. It's got some tangerine in there, a little black and white. But once he drops his tail, it'll grow back completely different and like look deformed. Huh. Yeah, but here's the crazy thing though. I had a buddy who kept geckos too. He had a gecko drop his tail, and this is very rare. It grew back 2 tails. That's like crazy rare. I don't want Sokka to ever drop his tail, but like if he did.
I don't think the same applies for snakes because I feel like the snake is a tail. They're just either all natural or all tail. It's the way you look at it.
When your snake sheds, he just leaves it, right? And then you pick it up. Leopard geckos eat their shed. Oh. And actually, it's important because I didn't know this for a while.
That's weird.
Yeah. When they do shed, it's so tempting to just be like, ooh, like let me grab that, throw it away, put it in a bag. collecting things. But then I learned that actually you should leave it in there because like they get a solid chunk of nutrients for them. Because I remember I kept like geckos before I ever kept snakes.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while, I just left my snake shed in there. And I was like, what's going on? And I'm like, oh, they don't eat their
Snakes don't
shed?
eat their shed.
I'm like, what are you doing? That's
Nah.
weird. Kind of strange at the same
That's
time.
the fun fact of the day.
Exactly. Fun fact of the day.
My fun fact for hognoses is they're the only chewing snakes, I believe. I don't think there's any other snakes that chew.
Because they are slightly venomous. But
They
that's only
are-
if they have to chew.
They are
If you like to
technically,
explain
hognoses are venomous because they're venomous to frogs and toads.
it. Yes.
They pop them and then like their fangs, which are only in the back, like face backwards so that things can't slide forward and come out. So yeah, they paralyze toads and stuff, but to people, they're not at all.
Isn't it just a bad scratch?
Like, it's not even a bad scratch. It's like,
Yeah.
he's accidentally like latched onto my dad's hand before because he hand feeds him.
Mhm.
And like my dad didn't even notice. Like, it's not even like a pinprick. It's that small.
Exactly. It's that small. Now, correct
Unless
me if
you're
I'm
like
wrong.
allergic.
Yeah. That's exactly. It's always an allergic reaction. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have to chew, right?
Mm-hmm.
As in, they can't just like bite and eject. They have to like chew for like a minute.
Yeah,
to
they
fully get
chew.
it.
I know their like native thing to eat is frogs, so they pop them.
Yeah.
That's like their big thing. But when I feed him, yeah, he chews it.
Okay.
A lot of times he chews it like an idiot. I call it hamburger style. If you think of like paper when you're folding it, he's long ways. He is hot dog style snake. He
Yeah.
cannot eat hamburger style, and he tries every time.
Actually, I don't know why I just thought of this, but does your snake? You've seen him yawn, I assume.
Yes, he's so cute when he yawns.
Why do they yawn?
I don't know. I
Specifically
think
snakes.
it helps them get it down, as
Yeah.
far as I know.
Okay.
But I'm not actually sure. Sometimes he does it after he drinks. Sometimes he just does it for funsies.
Yeah, like just stretch out
Very
his mouth.
cute though.
Because I know with leopard geckos, if they yawn, it's specifically because they were way too excited and they ate too fast.
Huh.
So like that's the other thing relating to this. They can absolutely puke if they eat too much.
I don't think snakes can puke. Oh, well, yeah, they can. They can
Can they?
regurgitate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. But yeah, so like Sokka's never, Suka's never, Cappy once. He puked,
has once.
and it's not as bad as it sounds.
No.
Like as a human puke. All it is exactly what he ate in a ball.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Mine's done
They
that
make it
too.
simple, but-
And then you have to worry, like, are they sick? But then they're okay.
Exactly. And then they eat the next day. Like,
And they're
oh,
fine.
you're good. You're chilling.
Sometimes they have very sensitive stomachs, so I try not to hold him if he like literally just ate. But I've noticed he doesn't care
Yeah.
because my snake is not your average hognose. As
Especially
far as
after you ate.
like temperament wise, my hognose is the friendliest little thing. He's probably more
As I
friendly.
can see.
I think you're more likely to be bitten by a seagull.
For the viewers, I can't see. Luca is currently just climbing on Katie's hand, just like,
Yeah.
hello, Mom. What are you doing?
He does not care at all. He
Yeah.
asks to come out constantly.
That's adorable. Yeah, see with Sokka, he's not an old man, but I feel like occasionally he'll have an old man personality. Like right now I'm handling him and he's fine. But like
He's
if
pretty
he's
cute.
sleeping, he's like, he'll go in his hide. Like, I love you, Dad. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
I'm sleeping. Nothing else for me
Most
to do.
reptiles will go in a hide. Mine does not at all. He never has.
Which I find interesting.
Ever. He doesn't. A lot of times he won't even dig and like hide under the dirt. He'll just sit on top. But I think that's my fault because I've had him since he was like born.
That's a good thing towards your taming, though.
But I mean, yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing I was going to mention. I didn't know you had birds. That means he's like more than usual chill. Because usually that's what they hide from. Because like birds are a big predator of them.
I don't think I've thought about it before. I mean, he's not usually super close to them, but I'm sure he can hear them. They're super loud.
Yeah.
They're just lovebirds.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask
What
you
those are
about
actually
that.
called. But
I think that's one of the names from.
it is.
Yeah.
It's like another name for another name.
Okay.
Parakeet.
Parakeet.
Parakeet,
Oh, you have
yeah.
parakeets.
Yeah.
Parakeets are adorable.
I have two, and they're savages.
Yeah.
They're way less friendly than my snake is.
Yeah. Oh, that's cute. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our first episode of Life with Reptiles podcast. Any thoughts you want to add before we leave? Any more fun facts?
Reptiles are the best pets.
Yes. Actually, before we leave, what's the number one best reptile?
I'm very biased. Clearly, it's my hognose snake.
Interesting. See, I biased too. I got to go with leopard gecko. But a dream.
But you have multiple.
Exactly.
It's like picking the favorite child.
That is true. Here's the thing, though. I'll be honest. Sokka is my favorite child. I'll be completely honest. Don't tell my other reptiles. Dream reptile, though, a California black king snake. Those guys
Yeah, those are
beautiful.
cute.
Like, the belly on him is the entire body. Do you have a dream?
I don't know the
reptile?
name of it. I just saw it on TikTok, but he has like this rainbow pattern and he's black, and I love him to death. But
think
he
it's just a
costs
rainbow
like
boa.
$8,000.
I think it's a rainbow boa.
No idea.
Okay. It may be that.
No idea.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that's it.
I'm not well versed. I have one reptile.
Yeah. All right. Well, before we sign off, we just want to thank the people that are working on making this podcast happen. Our producer, James Hellman, our editor, Michael Pittman, and the Post Media Hub. Thank you for lending us your place. And lastly, Alan Cram, make sure to send in questions and topics you might want us to discuss for future episodes. And subscribe to the podcast wherever you find or listen to your podcast. Thanks again, and see you guys next time.